Welcome back, everyone. I have to start off by saying I am cracking myself up today. I am got a little bit of a cold, and I have tried time and time again to video this episode for you today, and it has been a little bit of a hot mess. So, I was watching the last version and fumbling over my words and trying to put a succinct thought together, and I was just laughing because it's ridiculous. So bear with me today. Today I want to talk about extremist thinking, or black and white thinking, all or nothing thinking, all in or all out, whatever you want to call it. So one thing that has come to be true for me time and time again that I have noticed in myself and others is that our biggest strengths can also very easily turn into our biggest weaknesses. It's almost like a coin, right? And it's basically the other side to the same coin. When misplaced or misused or taken to the extreme, our strengths can very quickly become our weaknesses. And so if you are like me, and probably if you are watching this video, you're probably a lot like me, in that we strive for accomplishment. And by definition, we are results oriented. We are results driven, right? Like we've either accomplished the thing, we got the W, or not. And many times we may be known to enjoy things our way, right? We may be known to take control a little bit, and all of that is good, right? It can absolutely be our strength. I am not telling you that that is bad at all. And if you're anything like me, it's either all in sometimes or all out. And so I want to spin this a little bit, when it can be used as our strength and when it can be used as our weakness. So here's one problem that extremist thinking can fall into, or a blind spot that we can have if we're not careful. Many times we can label ourselves and label others, and this kind of puts us into a box. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of thoughts that I've had in the past that served me until they didn't, until they were taken too far, and then they became a weakness, right? And then they no longer helped me move forward. And what I mean by putting us into a box is, it's, for the longest time, I kind of painted what a good leader looks like, right? And it's something outside of us. Many times, if you're like me, you can see far ahead, right? Like you have ambition and maybe some vision. And so you're painting this picture, and then you just get to work getting there, right? Are you like that as well? And so I had painted this box of what leadership, or what a good leader, or what a leader looks like and what it doesn't. And it was very specific. And so here's a couple of the thoughts that served me until they didn't. Number one, leaders take responsibility. Do you opt into that as well? I do. Absolutely. I believe that leaders take responsibility. However, that was a strength, right? I used it for good until I went overboard with it, right? Leaders take responsibility. But I had taken it not only to mean taking responsibility for me, but taking responsibility for things that were out of my control. Taking responsibility, taking other people's behaviors and taking responsibility and making it my fault and owning it. Oh, now my phone's going off. Siri's going off. All right. And that looks like heaviness. That looks like frustration, because ultimately, I'm not in control of what other people do. As their leader, I can motivate them, I can inspire them, but everyone has free choice. Another one, leaders lead by example. Do you opt into that one? I still opt into that one. Absolutely. That is, I believe, a beautiful trait of a leader, leading by example. However, when taken to the extreme, it can look like doing it all. Micromanaging. It can look like enabling someone else instead of holding them capable and empowering them. Do you see how it's just this fine line of when we take it just one step too far, then all of a sudden it no longer serves us? And the third thought is, leaders produce excellence. Now, there may be this subsect of leaders out there that are recovering perfectionists. Do you ever struggle with perfectionism? I am one of those. And so leaders produce excellence. Absolutely. I agree with that. And that is a very fine line for me because it can be an easy point that triggers me into perfectionism if I'm not careful and if I'm not aware of it. Because the thought, leaders produce excellence, when taken too far, can look like never being ready. It can look like procrastination. And of course, it can look like perfectionism. So that is one of the problems, right? Kind of putting us in this box of either or when it comes to leadership. All right, then another problem or blind spot, I should say, when we take things too far is, man, I don't know about you, but so many times I have taken things on, not just taking responsibility for my actions, but I took those on an identity level, like not just what I did for better or for worse, but who I was, and made it mean good or bad. And so again, just taking things a little bit too far, taking things on too far, like into the core. And so when you do have an extremist thinking, right, there's only two options. And so you're either good or bad. If you make this choice, which, spoiler alert, everyone's imperfect, you will make mistakes, then it's either, oh, I made the mistake, so I'm either good or bad, right? And it really triggers the not enoughs when we take it on an identity level on who we are. And this is the easiest way to spiral, right? The shame spiral. Because it's not just guilt on an action level, it is shame on an identity level. And so it is just so easy to let that shame spiral down, 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 down. Now, I want to put a kink in the system, right? As this downward spiral is going on, the kink in the system is this. Newsflash, humans are imperfect. And I know that you know this on a logical level. But if you were to really look at the motivation of some of your actions, you may not actually be receiving this and believing it on an unconscious level and truly accepting it. Humans are imperfect. Leaders are imperfect. That means you are imperfect. I am imperfect. The people you lead, your customers, everyone's imperfect. It's just kind of a hot mess here on the earth at times, right? Because humans are imperfect, and that is reality. Now, when you accept this on a deep level and you quit resisting it, it is some of the best news. It is freeing news because, number one, you can stop resisting reality, because reality is we are all imperfect. We will continue to make mistakes. I know you know this and it seems basic, but we don't always really take it in. And so it's the greatest news because we get to stop resisting reality. And then also we can stop trying to earn. We can stop trying to do, right? To be, like to go, to be something that is out there. And we just get to accept that, yep, we are imperfect. And so now that I kind of threw that kink in the system of the downward spiral, now we can start using that as a catalyst to make the spiral turn upward. Because when we own that we are imperfect and others are imperfect, then number one, it takes off this layer of fear. When we have this fear of not being good enough, right? Not being a good enough leader, like having this picture outside of us that we have to strive and work towards to be enough. When we have that, it just causes fear, right? It's scarcity. And all of this puts a lot of heaviness and a lot of pressure on you, especially as a leader. And so there's just this heaviness. And so when we take off the fear, all of a sudden it frees us up to breathe and to actually move forward. It also opens up authenticity. And this, I think, I'm gonna do my best to attempt to explain this. I believe authenticity is the closest thing to perfection. I have this shirt that says perfectly imperfect, because I would much rather, I believe authenticity is closer to perfection than any of the striving and trying to get to this external goal or accomplishment, right? Like authenticity in its own way, it is perfection because it is what is. It's where you're at. It's genuine. It's real. All right. Another benefit to owning this thought process of owning your imperfection is it gives you availability to be so much more. When we have this either or thinking, it puts us in this box or this box, right? Either or, black, white, good, bad, right, wrong. And that does not leave a lot of flexibility for the imperfect humans. So when we can step into the gray area, step into this messy middle, it actually gives us capacity and availability to be so much more. Here's some examples that I have used and that we actually do this exercise in my signature program, The Journey to Personal Freedom. Come check us out. We do this exercise and it is kind of owning your both andness. You get to be both and. And here's some of the statements that I've created about myself that have really served me. I am strong and gentle at the same time, simultaneously. I am both and. I am humble and confident. I can be both things at the same time. I am fierce and I am sensitive. I am content and ambitious. That last one sometimes throws people for a mind pretzel, throws them for a loop at times. And here's, I believe, one of the best benefits of owning your imperfection, and that is it allows a deeper connection with others because you're basically accepting your whole self, goods, bads, strengths, weaknesses, flaws, not flaws. You're accepting all of it, right? You're giving your whole self, you're embracing your whole self, giving your whole self a big hug. And when you can accept yourself on that level, it automatically gives you the capacity to accept others on that level. And everyone wants that acceptance, right? It's like one of our human needs. We want acceptance. We want belonging. We don't want to be judged. And so when you can do that for yourself, and that overflows and you do that for the people around you, that is an attractive quality, right? And people just flock to you. And so it allows for a deeper connection with others. I think it's kind of the great equalizer. When we can say, yep, I'm imperfect. Then the other one's like, oh yeah, I'm imperfect too. And then it's great. It's like, okay, great. We got that out of the way. Now we can really move forward, in the work, and we can put our energy towards what truly matters. It's the great equalizer. It allows us to choose connection over comparison. And it allows us to see that we are all part of a big puzzle. We are all a single piece in a big puzzle. Yes, we are different. Yes, we absolutely have different imperfections, and we are equal in that we all do have imperfections. So I hope all of that made sense. It was much better than some of the rounds before that I was recording. Let me know in the comments which of the thoughts you have had taken to the extreme did not serve you anymore, or what of this video really hit you between the eyes.